Hi, I'm Danielle, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about whatever it is I feel like. And this evening is another Unwinding Thoughts. I watched the Odyssey on Friday, and whilst I do some of my little nighttime routine, I figured we'd talk about how I liked the movie. I for sure know that the Odyssey is a multiple thousand-year-old book. I don't think I read it. I'm like 95% sure I didn't read it. If I would have read it, it would have been in high school. And I was really big on Spark Notes back in the day. So, what the kids don't know with their chat GPT is that when we didn't want to read a book, we couldn't just ask chat about it. We had to go to sparknotes.com, or we had to get No Fear Shakespeare from the library or something, and we still had to do the essay. We just didn't read the book. So if I read the Odyssey, I don't think I like fully read it. I think I just, Spark Notes it. What am I doing next? Oh, I want to do oil. But this movie was for sure on my July watch list. It was one of my more anticipated movies this year, so I ran out to make sure that I was going to see it as soon as possible. I didn't see it in IMAX because I went to a Regal Cinema, and they have something that's like not IMAX. I don't know what it's called, but I did it. It was like Regal Special Fun Time something. I don't even remember what it was called, but I saw it at Regal because that's like the closest to me, and I love that Regal. So that's where I went to see it. I had a very nice time in the theater, very nice theater going experience. I've said it, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I absolutely love going to the movies. It's one of my favorite things to do. I feel as though because I saw this movie like a couple of days ago and I didn't like immediately say my thoughts, I feel as though I've lost a lot of them. I took a couple of notes after I was finished, so I guess I'll just go through those. So the first note that I had was that I really, really enjoyed the scene where they were with the witch on the island and she's turning the men into pigs. That was an amazing, amazing story. It was amazing. Should I look up what the Odyssey is? Like, I know it's the story of Odysseus going back to his family after the Trojan War, basically. And the Trojan War is, based on Helen of Troy and the face that launched 1,000 ships. And whenever I hear that phrase or think of that phrase, I think of two things. I either think of Fifi O'Hara from Drag Race All Stars 2. The what was it? What was the Rusical? It was like the fiercest woman in history or something like that. And she was Helen of Troy. And I just remember her like, I'm Helen of Troy rock song thing. Or I think of Scandal when Tom gave that speech to Olivia Pope about how she was Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships. He orbits you. Like, I think of that. That's the other thing I think of. Now it's got me thinking. I have to look up the Odyssey. So this is Homer's The Odyssey. I knew it was Homer, and it's an epic poem. It's one of two major epics. It's the Iliad and the Odyssey. So the Odyssey is divided into 24 books, and it follows the heroic king of Ithaca, Odysseus, also known by the Latin variant Ulysses, in his homecoming journey after the 10-year-long Trojan War. His journey from Troy to Ithaca lasts an additional 10 years, during which time he encounters many perils, and all of his crewmates are killed. In Odysseus' long absence, he is presumed dead, leaving his wife Penelope and son Telemachus to contend with a group of unruly suitors competing for Penelope's hand in marriage. Yeah, that's literally what happened in this. Christopher Nolan does have a way of making things feel epic. I can't say I'm the most well versed in his filmography. I've seen the Batman movies. I've seen part of Inception. Why didn't I finish Inception? I don't remember why. I don't know why I didn't finish Inception. And of course, I saw Oppenheimer. I saw Oppenheimer twice in theaters. I really liked Oppenheimer. And I think something that Christopher Nolan does really well is capturing the story of a character who created something that led to a lot of destruction and changed the course of human history. And they are living with the regret of that decision and the weight of the choices that they've made, and how the choices that they've made have led to a lot of destruction. So with Odysseus, the Trojan War, infamously the Trojan horse, where the soldiers give the this large hollow horse to, when I tell you I know nothing, but they give this large horse to the city, and they're hidden in this horse so that they can get inside I want to say castle walls, so they can get inside the gates of the city and basically have a sneak attack. That's like Trojan horse viruses, if you think of that, where they are disguised as one thing, but they really are something nefarious and malicious and evil. And just that sequence of them leaving the horse and like pillaging the city was done really well. And it felt, the stakes have never felt higher. It was really good to see. But then also you see the double back where Odysseus is telling Penelope, his wife, the story of what they did in that city. And you kind of go back to them leaving the horse, and then you see all of the pillaging that they do and how they're attacking innocents and how they just become the most animalistic, barbaric versions of themselves that they possibly could. And how they broke Zeus's law that day, which was do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and basically just, treat people with kindness when they come into your city. And they broke Zeus's law that day when they did that. And the other thing that occurs is everyone is worried about the soldiers who are coming by ship. And it's like the soldiers coming by ship, they're going to attack the cities, and then it is revealed that it's basically Odysseus and his crew that are those kind of soldiers who are not obeying Zeus's law and are just pillaging and savaging and taking more than what they should. So that sequence of doubling back for the Trojan horse sequence, that double back was amazing. I really loved it. And like I said, since I don't have the biggest catalog of Christopher Nolan in my head, I haven't seen a lot, like all of his films or anything like that. I'm basically going off of Oppenheimer, which was one of my favorites. You kind of see the parallels between Odysseus and Oppenheimer. Two people who were great leaders, who people basically followed them over a cliff, if we're still going by scandal references. People like followed them, they loved them, they were beloved. And they create something, they do something that is just causes a mass amount of destruction and changes human history forever. And they're just left to deal with the aftermath of being the person who has brought that about. Like, they've caused so much damage, or Odysseus caused so much damage when he came in and attacked the city from the Trojan horse. Now no one's ever going to be the same. Same with Oppenheimer creating the bomb. I briefly mentioned the scene of the witch turning all of Odysseus's men into pigs. And I need to go back because that was maybe my favorite scene in the movie. It was so good. First of all, I think her name is Samantha Morton. Yes, Samantha Morton played Circe, the witch, who basically, whenever people come to her island, she turns them into the bear version of themselves, which is a monster or like an animal, basically. And just the sequence of Odysseus realizing that every animal on this island is a human man, and then just the sequence of her actually physically turning the soldiers into pigs specifically. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I love horror, and that was very body horror-esque. Also, coupled with the fact that Samantha Morton is in The Walking Dead as Alpha, a marriage of two of my favorite things. A marriage of everything I love. So good. I also think Matt Damon had really good gravitas as Odysseus. And whenever he had these, like, whenever he had conversations with people who were not of this realm, like Circe the witch, anytime he's talking to Athena, um, when um, he's talking in Hades. We're going to talk about that scene soon, but when he's doing that, I feel as though he does a great job when he's talking to Calypso. That's another thing. I think he does a really good job of talking to people who are not of Earth. I really enjoy those scenes. So the Calypso scenes where he kind of realizes what happened to his men and the fact that they're all gone. And even Calypso saying, you mustn't fight. You have to just take your penance from Poseidon. Like, you've angered the gods a lot trying to have your will be the will that's enacted. And you need to just kind of take it and take your punishment. And that's how you're going to get home. Don't enact your will. Just let them enact their will. Very, very good scene. So the other scene I mentioned was him going into Hades. There is something that I love in media whenever someone has to go to hell. I just love it so much. Going to hell is always, I love it so much. Hercules, favorite Disney movie of all time. Hercules has to go to hell. Love it. Hades Town has to go to Hades. Orpheus is going to Hades to hopefully get Eurydice. Love it. I read the book The Games Gods Play, and one of the characters falls in love. This is a spoiler, I'm so sorry, but one of the characters falls in love with Hades, and you kind of learn a little bit more about the myth of Hades and Persephone and how they maybe weren't lovers like you thought they were. And she's trying to find Persephone, I want to say, in the end of the first book. I haven't read the second book. It's on my shelf. But they have to go to hell. Like, they had to go to hell anyway in that book. I can't remember why, but they did have to go to hell. All this is to say, anytime characters have to go to hell or talk to the devil or Hades or anything, I absolutely love it. There was another book that I read that was like called Sign Here, I want to say, where someone makes a deal with the devil, where this family makes a deal with the devil. I also really enjoyed that book, even though the plot is escaping me right now, besides that deal with the devil thing. Anytime you talk to the devil, anytime you talk to Hades, anytime you go to hell, I absolutely love it. So just that entire sequence, the score during that sequence, the music during that sequence was so, I felt like I was vibrating. It was amazing. I loved it so much. But that little piece, I loved that a lot. The talk he had with the way I didn't know anyone's name in this movie, I'm so sorry. Okay, the talk he had with Sinon. Although apparently Sinon is not in Homer's original poem and his story was borrowed from Virgil's Aeneid and other myths. Nice to know. But when he was in Hades and talking to Sinon, and then you just see all of the fallen soldiers come up and be like, well, you have to, they don't want you to just go. You have to answer to them. Perfection. As I said, since all of Odysseus's soldiers, since none of them, all of them perish, none of them come back, I have to, of course, talk about some of the other ones that I feel as though worked really well. The Cyclops, I really liked that sequence a lot. That was a really good one. And the cave, when they were kind of just like waiting to, leave the cave and disguising themselves as the sheep, and you think they're all going to get off scot-free, but then Odysseus then tries to harm the Cyclops the final time, and then he's like, they're all under attack again. Really good sequence. When they were on that island with the child and the very large soldiers, that one didn't move me as much. It was still a good sequence, but it wasn't my favorite. I think that's everything that I really liked in this film. And I'm going to talk about the only thing that I really feel I was not a fan of, and that was the final fight sequence of Odysseus and all the suitors that had taken over the kingdom in hopes of getting with Penelope. I did not like that final sequence, that final fight sequence. I loved the um I loved the challenge, of course, that Penelope made, where it's like, if you can string the bow and do this and like shoot the arrow through these 12 crossed axes or whatever, then you can have my hand in marriage. And of course, everyone tries, but it's Odysseus's bow, and he's the only one who's ever been able to do this very incredibly difficult task. Yeah, of course. I love that part. The whole full circle thing where it's like, Odysseus is back, and everyone else kind of like thinks they have hints of he's back, and that's like the full final confirmation. And then he starts fighting all these suitors. That scene, I did not like the fight choreography of that scene. I think that's what it was. It was like, I understand why it was dark and orange in there because of the set. Like, I get that. But it was just, I did not like the fight sequence. And I think the reason I didn't like it so much is because I saw The Furious a month or so ago, and that fight choreography puts every fight I've ever seen to shame. Everyone. That fight choreography is just so crisp, so clean, very few cuts. It's like a dance, and it's the way that the camera moves to catch every single bit of action, and it's just choreographed to perfection where it just flows so beautifully. And this one was so like, it felt almost like everyone was kind of like screaming in my face, and I didn't like the final fight sequence. I am so sorry. It was not my favorite. Oh my gosh. This was fun. But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed The Odyssey. It was a very highly anticipated movie for me, and I'm glad I saw it. Will I see it again in theaters like I did Oppenheimer? Never say never, because I really do just like going to the movies. So if I have 3 hours to kill, I could potentially see this again. Again, never say never. But yeah, I think that's the second movie that I've seen on my list here of my watch list. Okay, that's the first movie that I've seen on my watch list, actually. I still have Hadestown. I already have tickets for that. I've got 2 tickets for that. We're already ready. Spider-Man Brand New Day is the next one. That comes out at the end of July, and then Her Private Hell. And I don't work this weekend, so I could potentially see that then. So we're really blowing through the July watch list. The TBR, that's TBD. Don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time I have something else I want to talk about. Bye.